we have to get into these division previews, but before that, I really want to talk about what happened these past couple of days with the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets, man.
You mean the guy, the Bounty Gate head coach?
Yeah,
the guy who was paying to get other players injured.
Dehls, let me ask you something. What did the Jets do? Did we were minding our business, correct?
I think so. We were trying our best to stay low key this offseason.
Why are we on Hard Knocks?
They forced it down our throat.
We didn't even want to be in it, so we didn't want the offseason hype.
Can you guys stop with this victim
Correct.
bullshit?
Why did Sean Payton come after the Jets, Drew? You're a Broncos fan. You speak for the Broncos.
They asked him a question. Talk to us about
hold
this.
on. They didn't ask him a question. He had someone from USA Today come in. He gave him a little tour of the facility. Said it took about an hour. This wasn't just he was at the stand. They were asking questions.
It was a press conference. He gave an answer. He said it was one of the worst coaching jobs
This wasn't
we've
a
ever
press
seen.
conference. This was like a sit-down interview.
Regardless, he said it was one of the worst coaching jobs we've ever seen. Did he lie?
Nope.
So then what's the problem?
When Robert Saleh took over for Adam Gase, who had a terrible coaching job, did he say anything?
Well,
Did
was there
Doug
questions
Peterson
asked?
Did
they
Doug
ask
Pe-
him a question
Did
about that?
Robert Saleh say USA Today, come in, let's have an interview?
Hey, listen, when you're Sean Payton and
did get a little
you
too
become a
disrespectful.
Hall of Fame coach,
It's different, yes. Because
he
Sean
also was
Payton has
working
more
on
cred.
Fox too easily. That's a fact.
That's what he said. He said, I had my Fox hat on, didn't have my head coaching. Because what Sean Payton said was facts. Nathaniel Hackett was a disaster.
So is Russell Wilson.
He should have never doubled backed.
He's saying he should have just stood on it?
Just stood on it. You're going to talk shit like that, you got to stand
That's the
on it.
worst look. He doubled back on it. Listen, I can't wait until week 5.
You better win.
Aaron Rodgers said,
You
keep
don't
my
win.
coach's name out your mouth. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is about to have a historic MVP performance against the Broncos week 5. That's all
He's
I'm
going to
saying.
take it personal. He's
You
going
all
to take it
should.
personal.
That was a little crazy.
To me, I really don't see it that I'm upset about it that he rescinded the comments because we had a mindset for a long time since Peyton Manning left, and it's been kind of soft. And then Russ comes in, things supposed to change, which is kind of what he was talking about in the sense of, there was expectation, the glitz, the glamour, a lot of media attention to this team. He gave an example about that with Washington when he was on the Giants,
the
that
Jets
Washington
first.
was supposed to be great, and then they weren't. They ended up winning, 8 games. Then he talked about the Denver Broncos and how that was supposed to be a situation like that similarly too. We won 5 games last season with Nathaniel Hackett as our head coach. Listen, if you want to take it as shots, which is understandable for sure, that's fine. But he told the truth. He told the God's honest truth.
I get it, but Urban Meyer was a disaster. Doug Peterson didn't come in here and say, "Oh my God, this was the worst coach since." No, everyone in the world understands Nathaniel Hackett was a god awful head coach. But what's understood doesn't have to be explained. Sean Payton doesn't have to go in there and say how bad of a job he did. We understand that. And it's different.
want coddling
back
now.
in the day,
Coddling's
it's
the
facts.
idea
It's facts. Because
nowadays.
back in the day, when Sean Payton, you had the Buddy Ryans of the world, when they were all talking
the
shit.
Bounty Gate shit you can't defend.
Bounty Gate, no,
that's a
but
fair thing.
the Buddy Ryan, Mike Ditka when he was coaching the Bears and Buddy Ryan, they were on the same coaching staff and had beef. That was just different, the 80s and 90s. Now coaches don't really do that. And whether that's right or wrong is a different debate. But Sean Payton didn't have to, unprovoked talk shit about Nathaniel Hackett. Because for me, I agree with what Aaron Rodgers was saying, which is he's just trying to protect his quarterback. He's just trying to say everyone else is wrong, not Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's fine. Everyone else was terrible, but Russell Wilson was fine. It wasn't his fault. It was the surrounding. He even went after the president of the team. He went after the GM of the team. He was going against everybody, but not holding his franchise quarterback accountable.
I love
Doesn't
it.
sit right. You have to hold him accountable, bro.
Listen, I think it was understood that Russ wasn't great. And even
It was understood that Hackett wasn't great,
Even
too.
Sean said it himself. It's hey, it's not like Russ isn't fully to blame either. However, there were bigger pieces around it that put him into direction that it was just bound to happen that the Broncos were going to fail and Russell was going to be at the helm of that. And that's not wrong by any means. Because as soon as Hackett leaves, we see 2 of our best offensive performances put forth.
What were the external reasons around
I'm
Russ
actually confused.
that caused Russell to miss a throw on Thursday Night Football versus the Colts to win a game?
He came into the season injured.
Was that open?
This was
an
his,
open pass?
This was his first season without his quarterback coach that he's had for his entire career. I believe that he did pass away, and so this was his first year without that quarterback's coach. Nathaniel Hackett also happened to put forth some of the worst head coaching performance we've ever seen in our lifetimes. Team riddled with injuries as well. Destroyed our offensive line. We start the season, then immediately Tim Patrick tears his ACL. Also, real quick, prayers to Tim Patrick. Hope you're doing all right. Torn Achilles today. Horrible day.
Tough.
to be a Broncos fan.
Play.
But just thing after thing after thing with the Denver Broncos that just completely went against Russell Wilson, his ability to have
Everything that
success.
could go wrong.
And
went
then
wrong.
on top of it, Russ was simply not himself. Comes to the season a little bit out of shape, not really just in the same body type that Russ was. Listen, I'm not here to fully expunge Russell Wilson either. I've been here multiple times in front of this mic saying Russ he was not great by any means. But I still believe in him and understand that there was a lot going on around him that did not help that situation.
Well, he has to believe in him. There's no other quarterback.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, unless you have faith in Jared Stidham, which is a possibility. He had a pretty good performance against 49ers with the Raiders.
Listen, understand that we're talking about a first ballot Hall of Famer,
Stidham.
please. That's the reason why I have
Russell
faith.
Wilson, stable quarterback metrics measure some stats that year to year should be the same regardless of situation. Russell Wilson was at the bottom of like every stable quarterback metric and unstable metric. I know that Nathaniel Hackett, the clock management, you could argue, he did a bunch of stuff wrong.
Refusing to cater the offense around Russ's skill sets also.
I understand that, but Nathaniel Hackett already had a scheme in place that's the style of coach he was.
I understand.
And Russell Wilson, there were layup throws that Russell Wilson missed. He was one of the worst quarterbacks at layup throws, at easy completions, and that's what
You
Nathaniel
also
Hackett's
one of the
offense
teams that
is.
led the most with drops.
I just feel like Nathaniel Hackett, as an offensive play designer, he did an all right job. I think that Russell Wilson really failed the Broncos and stole a lot of your
Well, they
guys'
never
money.
matched. His scheme never matched what Russ
No, it
was
didn't.
That's it. And that's, as a head coach, it needs to be your job to recognize, oh, right, my quarterback's not great at this. Let me do something to put him in position to succeed. He never did that.
It's definitely on the coach. I think it's also on the front office to say, we can hire a coach, but maybe we shouldn't trade multiple draft picks and $250 million guaranteed for a guy that's not going to fit the system.
And Sean Payton could have
I
said that.
guess.
Sean Payton could have said, listen,
Listen, the
the
quarterback's
fit-
more important than the coach. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong.
easy.
Sean Payton could have said the fit between Hackett's offense and Russell Wilson just wasn't a match made in heaven. My offense is. He could have said that. He
And
didn't,
you have
he didn't
new
say
ownership
that.
coming
That,
in.
bro,
They want to make a splash.
We were one of the least. We barely used play action, and that's Russ's bread and butter. I said it last podcast that we spoke about it. 19% of our plays were play action passes, and from weeks 1 through 16, and then as soon as he leaves, week 17 and 18, increases to 33%. And suddenly we see Russ playing some of his best football this season. Let me not say it was easily his best football that he played all season long. You put him in situations where he's comfortable in, that he knows that he can have success, and he will. So to talk about as a fan, I was happy because we're finally getting into that brute nose, hey, let's be the villains of the league. We were just a laughing stock. Let's be the villains. And then Sean Payton backtracks. That lost me. That hurt. If you're going to say something
Shouldn't have said
that
it.
bold, okay, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. As someone who understands that you don't do something like that, that's fine. But as a fan, I loved it because we needed a culture change. That's what Sean Payton was supposed to do, bring us a culture change. But retracting the statements, that's where you lose me because now you look soft. And that's not what you wanted to do as the introduction of your first year into being the Broncos head coach.
I think that's valid to feel that way. Sean Payton, I do think that he looked at your team and kind of felt like there was some work cut out for him.
Just tell me what's wrong with us. There's not. We spoke about it last show.
What's wrong with you guys? You don't have a quarterback you trust.
Oh, my God. We definitely
That's
trust
what's wrong
him.
with you guys.
We definitely trust him.
You don't have a quarterback.
You trust him.
The receiving group is
I trust Russ a
probably
lot.
You
bottom
trust
half of the
Russell
league.
Wilson.
Yeah, now that Tim Patrick's out, I'm crushed.
Hamler.
It's really well. Hamler also. Yeah,
I know,
he just
yeah.
got waived with a heart
Mims-
issue.
Mims should be fine for week 1, but you don't want to see a rookie be injured for training
He's
camp.
been ramping up slowly but surely. But like I mentioned last podcast, he injured his hamstring in OTAs. Then he injured the other one first day.
Yeah, that's a bad look.
But Judy, Cortland's son, God willing, they're healthy. Because geez, really,
But even if
sounds
they're,
like
even if
mid.
they're healthy,
Quote-unquote
that's
depth.
that's a bottom like 15 duo.
bottom 15. That's fine. There's a lot of great duos.
That's
in
what I'm
this
saying.
league.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
That's mid tier.
But also Javonte Williams and Samaje
That's
Perine, they're going to be very active in the passing game as well. Samaje Perine is an underrated name to look out
I had
for.
more of an issue with him saying the Jets are trying to win the offseason. They're causing all this hoopla and shit.
We
when,
aren't.
like, all we did was trade for Aaron Rodgers, like, fucking sue us.
But you
and
did win the offseason.
we did. But the Hard Knocks thing, we didn't want Hard Knocks. We actually could not have been more against Hard
That
Knocks.
He
was the
didn't want
comment.
publicity.
That was the comment I liked the absolute least.
Like, he didn't have to say the Jets' name.
I don't.
Keep our name
Yeah,
out your mouth.
I think there's like he could have went about bringing that toughness towards his division, as opposed to like the Jets. Like they have done nothing towards Denver.
we don't
It was
give a fuck
very.
about
It was
the
very.
Broncos.
How
like-
many real rivalries exist outside of the division, though?
Yeah,
Like the only ones that really come to mind so strongly and profoundly are Chiefs, Bengals.
But he should be like, why haven't we beat the Chiefs
What other
in the
ones
last
are there?
fucking 12
I feel like you
outings,
should
not
start
the
at your
Jets.
division
That's what Frank
first,
Clark
then you
said.
branch out. Yeah, you start at your
Frank Clark
division first,
spoke
then
facts.
branch out.
He did.
No, I said that very openly too. I said, listen, you may not like what he's saying, but
He's
he
spitting.
used to play for the Chiefs, and they smoked us.
It's just Sean Payton's coming into a situation. I think he's being overly arrogant about it. I do.
I think we need to understand, which I think we all do. Sean Payton's one of the best offensive minds that this game's ever seen.
Yes.
And he has a laundry list of seasons of being a high-level elite head coach, and that's what he's expecting to transfer over to the Broncos.
He's Mike McCarthy with a brand name.
Crying at that.
He also
He is.
mean,
Sean Payton.
he's not.
Who did Sean Payton win
he's
the Super
not.
Bowl with?
He's not.
Breeze.
Drew Brees. Who did Mike McCarthy win the Super Bowl with?
Rodgers. But
Aaron Rodgers.
mean, you can do that with a lot of coaches.
How often has Sean Payton? How often has Sean Payton been back?
Even after
So,
even after Drew Brees was out of his prime, they still
that's
led
unfair to
top
say.
Since
five
2009, Sean Payton
Can I
is
finish?
5-7 in the playoffs.
Can I finish? Even after Drew Brees was out of his prime and he could not throw the ball, not nearly as effective, they still were amongst top 5 offenses in the league because he knew how to cater an offense to his talent.
How many years was that though?
It was
That
from,
was
it
that was for two. That was Drew Brees.
it was from
it was
30
like 2
it was
years
age
at most.
37 to 41 of Drew Brees.
No, Drew Brees was not washed up for 4 seasons.
But he
They was in the
year
NFC
after
Championship
year-
game. His last two, one of those
yeah,
years.
the
in
last 2
years.
seasons, Drew Brees'
sure.
arm strength was diminished for sure.
He was in the
But what
NFC
I'm saying is that They
They
Mike
almost
McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, they have a little split up. He goes to Dallas. What has Dallas been since Mike McCarthy has been there? When Dak has been
Good
healthy,
regular
they've been a
season
12-win plus team every
Can't
single
you say
season.
that about Belichick? What has he done without Tom Brady? Isn't that how most coaches kind
a
of
quarterback.
You need a quarterback.
Sean Payton has always had a quarterback, though.
But I'll say McCarthy also did get
So is McCarthy.
he got let go from Green Bay because 2 seasons in a row the Green Bay Packers were mid.
Underwhelming. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers was injured for one of those seasons.
Then he also wasn't. I remember that game against the Jets that he put up 4 touchdowns. I think he had 2 passing, 2 rushing. They didn't make the playoffs, but that was the last game of the season. Rodgers was great, but it didn't really matter because Green Bay had been so underwhelming.
But I'm saying Sean Payton won Super Bowl with a Hall of Fame quarterback, 5-7 in the playoffs since. Mike McCarthy won Super Bowl with a quarterback. The offenses when the Packers lost were never the issue. It was always the defense and bad luck that would happen towards them. I'm not saying Mike McCarthy is one of the best coaches in the
Sean
league.
Payton also got screwed over pretty terribly with the no call pass interference.
He did.
Also,
there was some calls.
the Minneapolis Miracle. What are we gonna blame that on
That
Sean
was crazy.
Payton?
Can't win them all.
We can't.
Hey,
do
listen, same thing with Mike McCarthy when he was with the Packers and the Seattle Seahawks kicked an onside kick, I believe, in 2015.
yeah.
And they recovered it. You know, we can go
that. Sean Payton
toe-to-toe
also
with
has
these
one of the
instances.
best calls of all time.
He does,
going
with
with
the
the
onside
onside kick
Yeah.
to start the second half of the Super Bowl.
No argument here.
Listen,
Listen,
Sean Payton
2009, it was 2009 was unbelievable. But since then, come on. Like, I think he is Mike McCarthy with the brand name. Sean Payton, I think, is a little bit overrated. And in that division with the AFC West, I'm predicting he will never win a division there. And I know it's probably easy to say because Mahomes and the Chiefs
you're not-
rule
that wasn't
that
a hot take.
division.
It's valid,
But
yeah.
I would even take the Chargers over them for the foreseeable future. I would.
Yeah, I mean the Broncos are in a tough spot where you have to pay Russ $245 million. And Drew, you're not going to like this, but the way you were describing Russell Wilson was you were describing a game manager.